ابعدنا. الشركة اللي بتقول إنها بتمتلك الكنال هي بريطانية وفرنسية. أنا بقول لهم إنهم مش بيملكوها، هم سرقوها. تخيلت إنه شوف فرديناند دي ليسبس.
الإشارة.
المهندس
فرديناند دي ليسبس.
فرديناند دي ليسبس المهندس اللي بنى القناة في سنة 1869.
وصل.
Excuse me, hey, you don't know what you're doing. Take your hand off.
Gentlemen, your hands above your head, please.
رجعنا كنال السويس. دلوقتي جاية مصرية مش أجنبية، وهتبقى جابتها جاية مصرية.
So sorry to have kept you waiting, Prime Minister.
Your Majesty, late last night, President Nasser's men stormed the offices of the Suez Canal Company and have now seized control of the canal. He claims to be doing this on behalf of the Egyptian people. In reality, it is the act of a thief, a petty hoodlum, showing off for the benefit of the Soviets. But we've dealt with worse. Appropriate measures are being put in place. We will simply pay the pilots to leave their posts.
Pilots?
Suez Canal pilots, ma'am. Highly skilled mariners, British and French, who take the helm of any ship entering the canal to ensure its safe passage through extremely challenging and narrow waterways.
Ah, I see.
The Egyptians are not a seafaring people. They don't have the skills and they don't have the men. Taking the pilots away will simply paralyze the canal, and it won't be long before President Nasser will come back repentant and humiliated.
If you say so.
Саламу алейкум.
Президент Нассер, я очень рад нашей встрече.
Спасибо, лейтенант. Очень рад.
In the wake of President Nasser's seizure of the Suez Canal, Russian mariners have been pouring into Egypt. These Soviet master seamen are now training Egyptian pilots, who are proving to be more adept sailors than many predicted. Hopes that the loss of British and French trained pilots would close the waterways have been dashed. Britain now finds herself at the center of rising tension between East and West, and with only 6 weeks of oil reserves, in an increasingly desperate situation at home. The United States is refusing to be drawn on its position in the escalating crisis. With the Soviet Union backing President Nasser, commentators are calling this the most serious international crisis the world has faced since the Second World War.
Military action! Military action! There is only one proven way to deal with fascists.
And while I'm sure we all commend our Prime Minister's confidence, he seems to forget that there can be no military action without support from the UN, support we do not have. We cannot go to war alone.
Majesty.
Prime Minister.
In the early hours of this morning, the Israeli army launched an attack into Egyptian territory, the Sinai Peninsula, and is rapidly approaching the Suez Canal. The Egyptian army has mobilized a retaliatory force and is about to engage. Her Majesty's government has now issued a deadline to both Israel and Egypt to halt all acts of war and to allow Anglo-French forces into the country to preserve the peace. The Israelis have expressed a willingness to comply if the Egyptians do, but alas, President Nasser has thus far refused.
When does the deadline expire?
Tomorrow morning, ma'am.
And the next step, in your view, would be?
Military intervention, ma'am.
War.
Indeed. But to keep the peace. It is the correct thing to do, ma'am. Nasser is playing roulette with the stability of the whole world.
Well, thank you for your explanation. Before you go, I do have one or two questions. When you mentioned that the Israelis had launched an attack, you didn't seem surprised.
Why would I seem surprised?
Unless I'm mistaken, the Israeli position has always been that they would under no circumstances launch a full-scale attack by themselves for fear of diplomatic isolation. And yet they've gone on to do precisely that, indicating that either they changed their mind, there'd been some kind of collusion. Have we?
6 days ago, this government met with representatives of the French and Israeli governments in a small village on the outskirts of Paris, where a document was signed, the Sèvres Protocol, which outlines plans for a coordinated offensive against Egypt, whereby the Israeli army would attack the Egyptian army near the Suez Canal, thus allowing the intervention of Anglo-French forces.
Who else knows about this?
Individual members of cabinet? Senior members?
But not Parliament?
No.
Or the United Nations? When does all this begin?
Airstrikes begin tomorrow.
You don't want to give it more time?
No, ma'am. The right thing to do is to go in now and to go in hard. I was right about Mussolini. I was right about Hitler. And I am right about this fella.
Trust by taking us into an illegal war under false pretenses, a shameful, dishonest misadventure. Murderers!
The invasion has been a disaster. The UN General Assembly is up in arms, as are the Americans. As a result, our Prime Minister has had no option but to declare an immediate ceasefire and retreat.
Without taking back the Suez Canal?
Quite.
So it's all been for nothing.
No, rather worse than nothing. Economically, the drain on our currency reserves has been so ruinous that we now face a run on sterling. The energy situation is just as bad. Panic buying has been reported at petrol stations, and we expect fuel rationing to become necessary as we move into winter. This is no exaggeration to say that this has been the worst week for the country since 1939. The peace and consensus left by your dear father is gone. And our reputation for decency and integrity in matters of foreign policy has been shattered.